Hey, everybody, welcome to another episode of Behind the Cape. I'm Data Superhero Keith Belanger, and joining me today, fellow Data Superhero Tobias Krueger. Hey, welcome. Thanks for joining me.
Hey, hello, Keith. Thank you for having me.
Great. No, I'm super excited. Today's topic data mesh, leveraging data exchange. Tell me a little bit about yourself, and then, yeah, let's hear all about this topic.
Yeah, okay. My name is Tobias Krueger. I'm based in Hamburg, Germany, working as a BI consultant, mainly in Snowflake topics as Snowflake architect and Snowflake data engineer. And a little bit private for myself. I've got two small kids, which keep me very busy at day and at night. So that's yeah, my second big compassion next to Snowflake. And today I really would like to, because we on our customer projects, we see more and more that organizations are splitting up data silos into different parts of the organization. So divisions want to be self independent and manage their data and then also bring it up to other divisions as sort of data products that they can leverage later on. And the buzzword here is obviously data mesh. And I would like to show how this is possible with the great tools that Snowflake has to offer.
Oh, that sounds
Um,
great. I know data mesh is getting a lot of traction. People are intrigued, how to leverage it. So yeah, this should be great. Yeah,
okay. Could you share my screen, Keith, please?
sure.
So no worries. I only brought a few slides, and basically, I just wanted to kick it off by going again over a little bit the data mesh principles, so that we have some domain-driven ownership. We have the data as it is at its product. We have the self-service approach in here, but with some federated governance all around it. And what we see here on the slide is basically some little diagram overview of how this can happen. So what we want to leverage here for the data mesh is basically the data sharing feature. We all know and love it from Snowflake. And to see that we have the possibility to be providers of data into this data mesh and also to be consumers. And both can, sometimes it also can be both, so that we will be providers and consumers. And yeah, let's kick
So
it off and
a
maybe,
question
sorry.
on the slide. Do your blue boxes represent a Snowflake account
That
in
would
the
be an
data?
account, yeah.
Yes. Okay. So you get a series of accounts with different databases all working, interacting with one another. Gotcha.
Yeah,
Great.
that's true. Um, sometimes, I mean, this some picture out of the Snowflake documentation. In the end, if we go for a data mesh, could be sort of that we may already have some centralized account in the middle that is doing the governance stuff all around, and then going from that, like a star, you have all the provider and consumer accounts that are exchanging data by each other. But that is just one of the examples on how it could look like. But if you are really into doing this on an enterprise level, the architecture would most probably look a little bit different.
Great.
Okay, so let's jump into the topic. What I brought you today are three different accounts that we have. We have one in Azure West 1, we have one in Azure West 2, and then we have a third one, which is in AWS EU1. Um, and maybe let's start by kicking off with the setup of this. If you are wondering at which account we currently are, I named the worksheets that we're working on with the respective name of the account. And to have a first look in here, this is, don't get overwhelmed, it's the setup script that we have to create our role that we want to use for that, the different grants that we need to provide for it, the warehouse that we already provisioned before. I don't need to execute these commands because in preparation for the session I already did, but maybe we can go over it. So at first we will create a role which is called the information steward. And we will grant this information steward role to the account admin. More likely, if this is only an example, I would rather in the future maybe also give it to sysadmin in case of best practices. But for the moment or for the demonstration purpose, we keep it like that. Then we basically allow the information steward to create and import shares, to create a database on the account, to create a replication group. This will come in a little bit later when we also want to share data between the Azure and the AWS account. And we also grant some privileges on the Snowflake sample database share, so that we can create our sample data that we will use for sharing. And then for the part with the data exchange, we also allow the role to purchase some data exchange listings and to create data exchange listings on the account.
Gotcha.
So basically, that's the first block that we see here. And yeah, then we allow our role to also have a warehouse, because without a warehouse, nothing is rolling in Snowflake, or at least not as much. And yeah, and we also give it access to the sample data. Okay, so what we do first is we create our role, or we use our role data steward. We are using our Mesh XS warehouse that we created. We will create a database, DB Mesh Azure REST 1, which I already did, so I will not do it again. And then in the next part, we will create a customer table in the public schema based on the sample data that we have. This will take only a few seconds. Yeah, and there it is. And then for traceability, we will also add an original account column, so that we know, okay, this data is coming from this account in the end. And we will publish this with the value of Azure West 1. Okay, so this is done. Now let's have a look into it. Everything is looking as expected. We have some sample dummy data, and we have in the end the origin account, so that we can see we are here now at Azure West 1. And what we want to do now in the first step is we want to share it with our Azure West 2 account. So we go to the private sharing here. And Keith, did you notice that they changed a little bit the user interface last week?
Yeah, I did notice, and I did see some people making comments about that. But yeah, it's one of the things, right? When you're on a cloud solution, you always get these surprises when when these updates come up. Yeah,
Yeah, that's true. I actually really like it, because I think before, if you wanted to go from the worksheets to, for instance, the query history, you always needed to step out of it, and now you have basically um, the possibility to yeah, do it yourself
yeah.
in the end.
It's always good when they're adding, because I know there was a few features in the past where I'd have to go out of Snow Site and go back to classic Snowflake to go to use the other UI, and then go back when some of the stuff wasn't there. So
Yeah, that's true. Okay, so what we want to do now is we want to create a direct share, where we want to directly share data to our Azure 2 account. So what we can do here now with the UI, we could also do this in SQL. If we want to do it more on a programmatical way, we choose our database, then we go here to our schema. We can see now we only have this one table that we created, and we say we want to share that one. And from here, we can also give a small description and give the share, yeah, maybe a more speaking name. But for the case of the demo, let's leave it like it is. And now what we can do here is that we will add the account that we want to share the data to. And let's go here. Uh, ah, yeah, that's always I love it. Sometimes you really need to go to the account identifier, and then you need to take the name. Oops, wait a second. Sorry for a little technical.
Oh no, I mean I think all of us can appreciate what you're doing right now. Every time you want to connect to something, you're like, how do I get this the account thing correct?
Uh, okay, now I'm a little bit confused. Why he's not? Is he? Wait a second. Okay. Yeah. So basically, you only need to put in the small part here, and now we want to create the share. It's good if you try things 2 or 3 times before,
Yeah.
and then yeah,
No, but I
it's
think this is
displaying
great
like
because
this.
people could see what not to do as well.
Yeah, that's a very good point. Always see it by the
There's always
positive
a
side.
silver lining, right? When you're doing things,
Yeah,
just gotta
that's true.
find it.
Okay. So let's go to our Azure West 2 account now, where we basically previously shared data to. And when we go to the private sharing, we just see, okay, a new share arrived at our location, which we can get the data from now. And yeah, maybe we will give it a mesh Azure West 1, so that we have a more speaking database name. And we can also say which other roles, except the information steward that is now creating the share, should have access to the data. So let's get it here. Done. And then let's go into here. So we have the basically the same setup that we also had on our Azure West 1 account. And now what we want to do is we basically want to yeah, query the data that we now have in our Mesh Azure West 1 data share, and where we can basically see uh, that if we do select top 10 star from this data, we see it coming up here. And we can also see that it's from the origin account Azure West 1, which we did before, right? And cool thing about that is basically what Snowflake does in the background. It's just it's not moving any data, but it's more actively putting a pointer onto the origins account storage layer. So this is read only, of course. So I, as a consumer of the data share, cannot change anything. But if I go over now and there's some process happening maybe to the data that is currently in our share. So let's say we want to update the comment section to a lorem ipsum. Then this will be reflected in an instant also on the account where we consume the share. So let's check it again. So we had
Yeah.
the
Yeah, and I think that's important, right? Is that you're the consumer, right? For lack of better words, is at the mercy of the sharer, how they're changing the data, how they're providing, because it's happening right away. So there's no delay in terms of what they did and what you're seeing.
yeah, that's true.
Yep.
Okay, so this was basically to see the share part of the whole story again. But in the end, this could get a little bit cumbersome if we think of an enterprise setup where most of the things should be a little bit more automated, where we want to have some more governance, where we maybe also want to add some more information about the share that we have. And for that, we have the Snowflake data exchange that we can leverage. And currently, if you can have one data exchange per account. And I will switch over to the PowerPoint presentation here again because the exchange we're currently using is on our internal demo account, and I don't want to show too much of it. But basically, when you create one of these exchanges on an organization, you will have the possibility to or one step back, you at the moment need to ask the customer support to do that for you, so you can't do it yourself. And then as soon as you have it, you have this one admin account basically, which is steering all the other accounts. So it can add accounts to it, and it can say if it's either a consumer or a provider or just either one of that. And basically how it would look like on our admin account now is that we have these three accounts that I showed earlier in the Snow site interface, so that we have our Azure West, Azure West 2, and our AWS EU account. Azure West 1 and Azure West 2, they are both consumers and providers, and the AWS E1 account is only a consumer here at this space. And how this is basically looking, if you want to add members, you type in the account name, hopefully a little better than I did earlier when I wanted to share something. And by clicking, you can really say, is this a consumer or is this a provider account, which is very neat. One thing to mention here is, at least for the time being, this is only possible in the web UI. But they made it really so nice that I wouldn't even do it for the moment programmatically.
Nice.
Okay. And then one last step that we also need later on for the that I needed to do on the admin account is to enable the global data sharing for accounts, so that we can later on also share data between the Azure and the AWS accounts. Because normally, if we have some normal direct shares, we can only share with the same region and the same cloud environment if we want to leverage that. But with the data exchange, Snowflake has some nifty little tweaks up on their sleeves. Okay, so then we also did the setup of this one. We also created a database which is called DB Mesh Azure West 2. So currently we're on the Azure West 2 account. This time we will be working with the supplier table. We also created basically at the origin account column, and then also set it to Azure West 2. Right. And then we can just see if everything is working as expected. So this looks how we wanted it to look. Okay. So now we go back to private sharing. And what we can see over here, so we have these direct shares again, like we had before, where we can see, okay, this is the one that we already consumed from the Azure West 1 account. And here you have this Manage Exchanges tab, where you can also see the data hub that we're working on, and where you can also have some profiles. And you need this profile later on to do some to publish on the exchange. We will see that in a moment. And basically for the profile, if I click on the tab here, so you can upload some company icon, you can have a name, you can give yourself a small description, add some contact email, support link, and some privacy link that you want to have in here. What I did for our use case, I added some dummy data. So I did some dummy email. The privacy goes to google.com, pun intended. And with this, what we can basically do now, instead of creating a direct share, we can publish to this Initials Data Hub exchange that we saw earlier. And how this goes is that we will create a listing, Mesh Azure 2 listing. So we need to give it a name. And now what we can choose from is we want to have a free listing where everyone can, like for the direct share, if they see it, they can just consume it without asking for any permissions. Or we can also say, okay, you need to request it first, so that you can only get the data if someone, maybe some data steward says, okay, if we go back to the enterprise context, division B can get this data from our division A. But for this demo, we will stick with the free plan. And now, we need to add some information in here. So basically, we have the listing. We can say we have a subtitle, which we have here. We need to really choose from the profile. And for the terms and of service, I will go for the standard agreement for marketplace products for the moment. And go on to some details that we want to enter for the data listing that we are providing here. We can add some link to the documentation, which I always say is also google.com. And if we also have some YouTube videos that we want to share with that as well, we can push it here. And you also have on the left side, which is very neat, you have some points coming from Snowflake, right? So how should it look like? What should the description be like? So everything we basically don't do at the moment, but which is a very good reminder for yourself if you are doing this on a very professional basis. And same goes for the other tabs as well. So what we do here now is that we basically, this looks a little bit familiar to the direct share that we had earlier, where we say, okay, in here, I want to add a data product. I have some tables in here in my public schema, which I created before. And what we want to do now is we want to take the supplier table in here. And also maybe want to give it another name, the share, but I think it's okay for the moment. And then we can also add some information about the attributes here. So how often is the update frequency? Let me say for the moment it's daily. Do we have some geographical coverage? It's not applicable for the moment. Do we have some time ranges that are related to this to these data products, which we also would say currently it's not applicable. We can also give some more attributes, which is basically later on, if you have it in this data mesh approach, helps your consumers and yourself to get an overview of what you really offer at the moment and what can be consumed by you. But for the demo, I'm a little bit lazy. Pardon me. Yeah, and the access and pricing, like I said, we do it for free. We have some business needs that we could fulfill. Yeah, let's say we want to have a 360 customer degree view, which is ABCDE. And what we also have here is we want to have a test query maybe. So what we could do now, we can also put in the description here, and we can say select top 10 star from public.supplier. So, and then we can see if this validates with our warehouse, and it says, yeah, that's a valid test query. Of course, you can put a little bit more bigger test queries in here. And with the region availability, that's where we before said we want to enable this here in the PowerPoint, enable this global data sharing. That's where this comes in handy, because we now have the possibility to choose from this auto fulfillment and to say for which regions do we really want to have this data. And for the moment, I don't want to have it in all regions, but I only want to have it in Europe and for Frankfurt, and also in West Europe for Azure. And what this does now in the background is it basically creates a data replication for us, a data replication group. and will replicate it into the regions that we provided earlier. So we don't have to do it ourselves. We can also say, okay, we want to do it manually. So we have to do all the data replication related tasks. But with this, Snowflake just takes it over from us, which I think is very cool
That's nice.
idea. Yeah, really
Yeah.
is. Okay, so then let's save this. We can have a preview to see, okay, this is how it looks like, right? Um, this is how it would, or how it will look like if we switch back to the Azure West 1 account now, or also to the AWS account to have a look. And then we say publish. And now it's live. So what we can do now, if we, for instance, go to AWS and say, okay, I want to go to private sharing, then I see, okay, now my Mesh Azure 2 listing is here, and I want to download it now. I want to get it, and it says, okay, we take about 10 minutes, and we will inform you with the email that you provided us for your account. So let's see, because like I said, in the background, there's some process running now, which is putting up the data replication and getting the data over to the accounts that I provided earlier. And what we can do is we can basically go to our Azure West 1 account, and here we're in the same region. So this is basically a direct share that we have, so no background process involved that we need. And what we can do now is we can give our database a name, and we can add some roles that can also edit, and then say, get it for us. So we don't also have to do like we had in the direct share to give some given the direct accounts name or stuff like that. So the database will be created directly for us, which is also very cool. And if I click on get now, what will also happen is if I go to query data, it will create a new worksheet for me, which is basically having my
Your test.
yeah
Yep.
testing my test query as a comment, also going into the right database already, and then see if I do the query on the supplier, everything looks fine. Okay, we're coming here from the Azure West 2 account as we expected. And basically we can start working on that right now. And one other aspect to this that I would like to highlight is that sometimes maybe you don't want to have the all accounts or all consumer accounts to be able to see the same kind of data, right? So what we can do here now is we can also, that's why maybe you earlier saw this mapping table, we can create a row level security policy, which we put on this table. And the table itself don't need to be shared, because like you remember, we have this pointer basically pointing to the storage location of the provider account, but it will still apply this row access policy we have. So if we go back here and go to, oh, maybe we were here, and we want to again go for, we take it from here this time, from our listing, and we want to query the nation keys. Distinct as nation key. There we can see, okay. There we can see currently we have from 1 until 24, as we see here. But now, if we go over here and we say, okay, our mesh demo Azure West account should be able to see nation key 1 and 2, and our demo AWS EU account should be able to see nation key 3, right? So we create this table. We insert the values into it. And then we basically create the row access policy, which is, like I said, it will, for our own account, everything should be visible. And for the others, if the current account name is in this mapping table, it should only show the values of the nation keys that are inserted in here. So let's do that. And then we will put it onto the onto our table. And now it should happen. I hope. Please let it happen. It will basically directly apply it to our shared data. Voila.
There you go.
Yeah, there
Nice.
it is. Yeah. So basically that's it. Let's see if we also have our AWS data ready now, which has already been requested. Okay. That's not what I wanted to see. It can be that this takes some time for it to get loaded, basically. Yeah,
Yep. Well, I think we definitely got the understanding, and I think we've all been there that sometimes it takes some trial and error to get all the bells and whistles and dots and commas and all the other stuff in the right position. But I'm gonna switch us back to see us again, and I greatly appreciate it. That was very informative for me. I mean, I've been familiar with data share, but I always looked at exchange as exchanging between companies, but never really from the perspective that you just showed. Like in an organization, if you're decentralized, you can just say, well, I'm going to put this in the exchange, and then others, if you want it, you don't want it, you know you can go to the exchange and get what you need. And like you said, it makes it a much simpler process to do that. So I greatly appreciate what you showed with us today.
welcome.
So, and if anybody wants to connect with Tobias, he's on LinkedIn. We'll put his LinkedIn link in the bottom in the comments. But I want to again thank you for joining us today. This was very informative, and thanks everybody for joining us today.
Thank you very much, Keith.